dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So, we got a discussion video today about Blastprox. After Puncture and Cold got buffed in good amounts recently in the Echoes of Duviri update, I think it's time for Blast Elemental Damage to get some status buffs. We'll talk about that today. We did a lot of discussion on the live stream, so make sure you check out the live stream if not already. Also, sub to this channel. We do daily Warframe YouTube videos, and also hit that like button if you enjoy these types of videos, because we do lots and lots of discussion videos, build videos, news, and more. Alright, so let's briefly talk about what DE did to buff Puncture Procs and Cold Procs in the Echoes of Duviri update, and then we're going to talk about Blastprox and their purpose in the game, or rather their lack of purpose in the game, and what I think DE could do to buff them further. Okay, so we're looking at a weapon right here with Puncture status effects on it. So, what Puncture Procs do, and by the way, if you think I'm like making up this video for no reason, I have made videos about this in the past. This is a 2-year-old video about please buff Puncture Procs. Easy solution. Now, in that video, my idea was to remove more armor with a Puncture Proc. So with Corrosive, Heat, and Puncture, you could fully remove an enemy armor with no abilities. DE ended up going with a different route. What Puncture Procs do now is that they have their old effect still of making enemy deal less damage to you, up to 90% less damage to you, but also the new effect since Echoes of Duviri increases crit chance per Puncture Proc on the enemy, stacks up to 25 at 5 Puncture Procs. So you can have 5 Puncture Procs on them, giving you 25% additive stats. Think of like a mini Arcane Avenger. So that's quite good. You know, the crit chance part, 25% extra crit chance is somewhat noticeable on a lot of weapons. You know, on the really, really strong stuff, we're already at like extremely high levels anyway, but yeah, if you look at like weapons that have Puncture in this game, a lot of weapons have Puncture built in. For example, the first one I click on here, the Soma Prime, this says Puncture. This will be more crit chance on your Soma while you're, because you will inevitably proc some Puncture as you do a Puncture on the gun. So extra crit chance on here. You know, so click another random weapon. The Cedo, I think this has Puncture on it, doesn't it? It has Puncture on the primary shot. I don't think the Glaive does not, though, so not the best example. But you just like look around, things that we be proccing Puncture are basically just getting mini buffs indirectly because they're getting some extra crit chance. The Bolt Door Prime has a ton of Puncture, so very, very nice. Additionally, on cold damage, now this one isn't really as universally applicable, but I'd say like for things like how about the Torrid? I was messing with a Corrosive Cold Torrid build. What Cold Procs do now is an enemy affected by Cold Procs takes 50% more crit damage from those stacks on the enemy. So on a weapon like the Torrid that can fit on a Corrosive Cold build relatively easily, we're getting extra crit damage basically from proccing Cold. So with Corrosive and Cold, enemies not fully armor stripped, but we're getting lots and lots of high damage crits, even if it's not fully bypassing their armor. So these were 2 buffs that were pretty good. Cold Procs did not used to do that before. Now let's move on to a combined elemental. So we have 2 things that, you know, not the most groundbreaking buffs, but hey, it's better than what we had before, which was nothing. Now we move on to Blastprox. This is one that actually used to be better back in the day. So what Blastprox do in the current version of the game, any affected by a Blastproc, which is, by the way, a combination of a heat and a cold, so it requires 2 mod slots in some situations, it will make the enemy less accurate with their gun for up to 75% with multiple stacks for a short duration. So, from what I understand here, if it's an infested with no gun, it does nothing to them. So, already, just looking at this is not anywhere near as good as like most procs in the game. And back in the day, before they made it where this reduces enemy accuracy, what this did, it would knock enemies over. So that already is better. It's like a hard CC right there. A Blast Proc used to knock enemies over. Now, in the Power Crept version of Warframe in 2023 we currently have, I've actually got some more fun ideas for what they could do with a Blast Proc instead. And first off, what I think they could easily do something like, okay, they take increased status procs or something while they have the blast up. Kind of like an easy throw-in like they have on here. Increased crit chance while the Puncture Proc's active. They can do increased status chance while the Blast Proc's active. But what I think they should do is think about blast weapons and blast explosions just in general. Make enemies explode. They should tie in the explosive AoE nature of explosion weapons to these Blast Procs. So my idea is think of it kind of like Nova's M Prime or Acid Shells from the Sobek. An enemy affected by a Blast Proc should explode on death, dealing some amount of damage in an AoE. Now, they can choose to make it scale with enemies' health, like Acid Shells does, 45% of the enemy's maximum health in a 15-meter radius AoE, or they can make it where it's like Nova's M Prime, where it's a a flat number. Now, a flat number would not really scale as well. And blast damage is also affected by enemy armor, too. So when I'm thinking about this idea, I'm thinking from the perspective of it is being modded with corrosive. Because if you know a lot of the stuff about this game and the mechanics of this game, there are usually, if you want to do a double combined elemental build, which not a lot of people do, but there is corrosive blast and there is also corrosive heat or corrosive cold. There is no real reason to go corrosive blast throwing on that last elemental mod, just the way it is. So yeah, make a reason for people to actually mod for blast damage. And I know that could potentially be kind of insanely strong, but as you can see right here, this guy has, does he have Blastprox on him? He has Blastprox, he has 10 Blastprox. They do nothing. They're just an extra condition overload proc as far as I'm concerned. So on something like Acid Shells, it's a viral, or a corrosive AoE. So as you see, it was only 200 damage on her. If you throw in Armor Strip, it becomes better. But yeah, you know, I think corrosive and blast being together most of the time. Corrosive removes armor, blast could make a percent health explosion in an area. Those could be pretty interesting ways to do it. Now, that, like I said, that blatantly could be just OP, like chaining explosions everywhere. Maybe a little bit excessive. So make it where you can even make it where it's less OP. How about that Saxum set? This is what, 10%. 10% of the enemy's maximum HP as an impact damage in a 4-meter radius. You could do it just like this. Enemies affected by Blastprox do a 10% maximum health AoE as blast damage in a 5-meter radius. Because when you look at it, yeah, it could be kind of crazy with a bunch of these weapons that have built-in blast damage, like the bramma and stuff. But also, like, you know, if it's affected by armor and these enemies are super tanky, like, it shouldn't really be that big of a difference. Like, yeah, we'll clean up a couple extra enemies in the edges of the explosion, but this doesn't really have the best status chance anyway. So I think that Blastprox really need some buffs. Additionally, let's talk about some other procs that could use some buffs while we're here. Electric procs. You know, they can be okay. They have a damage over time and a stun associated with them, but I find the radius of electric procs to be kind of hilariously low. I believe it's like a 3-meter radius or something. It feels like a 1-meter radius when you're using electric proc. It's supposed to chain enemy damage to nearby enemies. Yeah, it just doesn't feel that consistent. So there's an electric proc right there. Let's see if it runs out how far of the chain. I think the chain distance is like literally 3 meters. Okay. You know what could also be cool if an electric proc could re-proc off itself. Okay, so yeah, there you go. There's your electric proc. That guy's not even chained to the guy right next to him. So, like, you know, why would I mod for electric proc besides just, I guess, a damage over time? So, electric procs are combined into corrosive. They're also combined into radiation, some of the go-to damage types for armored enemies in this game. So yeah, I'd like to you guys let me know in the comments down below. What would you do to buff Blastprox? You know, they did take about 2 years to buff Puncture Procs to what we got. And it's not like a groundbreaking, meta-defining change, but it's a nice buff on top of what we already have. And, you know, for a lot of weapons, like I said in my video 2 years ago, a lot of weapons in this game have puncture built into them already. That's why the bolt door's in the picture. So that was a smart change for the guns, because they're just indirectly getting extra crit chance, too, for these more single-target guns. So, you know, blast procs are my main focus here, but there's, of course, magnetic procs, gas procs, probably some other ones I'm forgetting too, impact procs. I feel like impact procs are just, they're done. Like, they're supposed to be Parazon stuff and then mini stuns. So I'm not expecting impact procs to be like a damage over time tied to them. But yeah, puncture is pretty good right now. Blast is lagging way behind. Cold is good enough, I'd say. I kind of wish that cold procs didn't affect ghost thrax. I think ghost thrax in general should not be affected by cold procs to make them turn to a ghost slower. So that's basically going to be it for the video, guys. Really appreciate all the support lately. It really means a lot. Yeah, Gamma Core video probably next couple days. And I didn't even make a Wisp video or a Fulman video or anything like that. So I got to really get on these videos. Either way, guys, I appreciate all support, and I'll see you on the next stream and next video. Take it easy. Peace.